Hello. A big hand to us as women entrepreneurs. I also want to begin today by saying that three very great women of impact were born today. One of them I'm sure everybody knows, but before her was Rani Lakshmi Bai. And then we had Indira Gandhi and Sushmita Sen, and these were all the three women who I've really admired and have always been following. And coming to women of impact, now we come to the women in what we are talking about, business, right? So we have Falguni with Nykaa, and we have Mama Earth, and we have Priyanka Gill with MyGlam, and we have all these wonderful unicorns that have happened through these women of impact and women of power. And we are seeing that women are in fact writing their own stories. In fact, they're changing the complete narrative of the ecosystem. And coming from an India where even having a bank account for a woman was a benchmark, look where we have reached. But at the same time, we also see that we have just about 15% of the women who are unicorns, right? So my question to you is there some change that requires to be done in the ecosystem which can be a catalyst, which can push these women towards success a little faster? So we can start with you. Shubhangi?
Yeah, I think I'm audible. Thank you so much, TiE, Surat, for actually organizing this, and Geeta, Hetil for, really nice introduction about all of us. Yes, firstly, happy Women Entrepreneurship Day to everyone out here. And I would actually, like to start off by mentioning, yes, we are 15% of the unicorn base right now, if you look at the founders of unicorns currently. But I think that picture is about to change. That's more so because there's so much women empowerment happening at the top level itself, right? So today, all the top founders who are women actually, are motivating their own team members to come up and be part of the senior leadership of these startups. So just want to mention here, right, that currently in the overall workforce of startups, less than 20% of women are in part of the senior leadership teams, right? And I see that number changing pretty soon, and I'll tell you a few reasons for it, right? One is there are specifically women accelerators and incubator programs that are coming up with, which actually motivate you to actually drive out your own startup. So it's not just, specific to, okay, because you're a woman, you can't start out. It's also because hey, you have an innovative idea. Why don't you just start off? Second is I would like to also throw some light on what we did at LetsVenture as part of getting more women involved on the other side of the story. We've often heard of them, coming as women entrepreneurs. But just to give you a quick stats in India, out of about 26,500 angel investors, less than 2% of it are actually women, right? Which is a very startling number if you think of it. I mean, only 400 to 500 women are actively investing in startups. We were very alarmed with this number, and at LetsVenture, then what we started doing is we started off on the Women Investor Network program. Now, what did we do at WIN differently that we've not been doing previously is help women actually understand private markets as an asset class, right? While angel investing sounds like, hey, I have money and I want to invest in a startup, it's just much more beyond that, right? It's also a lot more about understanding private markets as an asset class, how to invest, when to invest, who to invest in, how do you evaluate a startup. And I think it's not that women don't have capital. It's also to do with a lot of mentoring that they need to actually go ahead and put that check in, right? So as a result, when we did the WIN program, we've had about 120 women already part of the program, of which 50 people have already started writing checks to startups, right? So that was our moment of actually bringing about a change and getting women to write checks into startups. They didn't just write one check, but so far we've been able to get about 8 crores of investments in startups just through the program, right? So imagine if we do this at a larger scale. So we start off with 100, we go it to a bigger scale. So these are the kind of programs that can help motivate at multiple levels in the value chain, right? Whether it's at a PE level, whether it's at an angel investor level. These bring about a massive change, I believe, other than not just, okay, we might just do a simple program, we might get more women entrepreneurs, no. Also, I believe that if you have a great idea, there's no such thing of gender attached to it, right? If you have a great idea, you will get funded, whether you're a woman or a man, right? So I think that comes along the way.
Right. Bhargavi, would you like to throw some light on this?
Yeah, thank you, Shubhangi. Covered a lot of things. So, a couple of things which I have observed from my corporate experience also, which probably we can adopt in the startup ecosystem is mentorship. So, where there is uh, a safe haven for women just to share their struggles in building a company, because it's a lonely journey for any founder, not just women. It becomes a lonely journey. So I think that is something, if there are active mentorship where it is not like a program or not somewhere people come and give just an hour time, where somebody identifies someone as a mentor for 2 years, 3 years, you are there with them, right? And then you see the journey and you build a personal connect. So I think that's one thing which I can think of.
Even Google India announced that they took in 20 ladies as in their incubation cells. So I'm sure these will be the ones who will get a lot of support afterwards, since Google was there with them first. So if people started doing these things, I'm sure it could add more value. Yeah, Anisha?
Now, what I'd like to, make one statement very clear is, companies who want real results need to have women in their leadership, in their board of directors, or in their leadership, or the management team. This is extremely important because, end of the day, we're talking of 50% of the population. Either you're selling a product to them, they are decision makers, you need to understand, you listen to their voice, understand their needs. So this is an aspect which all business owners should learn and execute. That is, bring in women into leadership positions. And, that it's something which I've experienced with TiE also. Let's face it, all these organizations are highly patriarchal, and this patriarchy didn't come, suddenly. It's hundreds of years how patriarchy was set in. So I'm not expecting any change to happen in a few decades. I'm sure it'll take more than that. But it needs to start, okay? Because we are 51% of the population, and you need to listen to that 50% of the population, and you need to make changes, you need to bring women into leadership positions. And how do we go about doing it is, I've been talking about it to some of our charter members here, and saying that, even to TiE, like an organization like TiE, bring more charter members who are women, okay? Because you will see a whole different perspective which they will bring onto the table. And, they have a voice which you should listen to, otherwise it will affect the results in your company.
Janki ji, can you add something to this?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing this point. When I'm a social entrepreneur basically since 2 decades, so I'm going to bring 2 different perspectives in this room. When she said rightly that we are a big, almost 50% population, over that, yet the stats say that 40% of that population is not working. So there is such immense untapped potential that women don't come to work. And there's other side of my work where I work with lots of corporates doing POSH awareness. I'm as an external committee member with the POSH committees in various organizations. And I can see through that the main reason why women don't come to work is that lack of dignity and equality and safety and security. If they don't find that in the workplace, in the culture of the organization, not just that they don't want to come, but the families are not secured enough to send their daughters or wives or sisters to work. And you and me sitting here are a very small population of our country. There is a huge population which still is under, all those social appropriatedness, and they need to be there. And all we can do is, I fail to understand at workplace, why do we want equality of gender? There should be equal opportunities offered. And it's about what I am offering. I'm putting on the table what is my intelligence, what is my potential, the capacity, what I'm bringing to the organization. What I have special from a man is all restricted to the bathrooms and the bedrooms. It should not come to the conference rooms. Conference room is all about what am I contributing with the office, the organization, the product, what am I'm working with. So giving more dignity to women at workplace and working towards more gender sensitivity could probably help increase our
Yes.
unicorns.
Very, very well said, all of you. So tell me, do you think there are any sectors or any of these areas where you require a little shove or a push, which are not explored, which are not really given focus, and females or especially ladies who are thinking of getting into startups can think in those directions, because many times they say, oh, I want to do something, but I don't know what. And then maybe, these types of things can be told to them. Maybe they can be informed about such sectors, which may not, otherwise everybody thinks of IIT. I understand, those are the big money and everything, but I'm sure there are sectors which are less focused on, and maybe they should focus on that and start going there in order to get a wider variety in our bouquet. So, Anisha, can we start with this?
Okay, let me start off by saying that, when a woman gets married, what happens is her priorities shift immediately to family and to children. Okay, but by the time she is about 35 years old, she suddenly realizes that her children have now become independent and they're on their own, and, they really don't need the mother. They make their own decisions, and suddenly, she's left in that space where, her purpose, her need, okay, in the family has now come down. And that is when she starts thinking, okay, I'm educated, I have all these skill sets, okay, how am I going to contribute, how do I create value? So if there is a solution, after 35, there are a whole lot of women out there who are educated, who have their skill sets, they want to apply their skill sets, they want, they have the mindset and they want to create value. So how do we go about bringing that lot of women, and, how do we, you see, the fact is, even the GDP of the country is attached. You increase the number of women, working by a small percentage, you'll actually increase the GDP of the country by a large percentage. That is the reality, okay? But where, does the government focus on bringing more women into the entrepreneurial space or into the workspace? Who is putting, where is the focus? Why can't we come up with ways and means, okay, bringing all these, educated, smart women who've got so many skill sets out there and create value and, give them opportunity. So it's a huge space, solutions need to come out of there, and, something needs to be done about it. I cannot specify which sector, but I know this, about 35 years, for the next 20 years, she is somebody who can create huge value, and if you give her the opportunity, she will make it happen.
Yes, Bhargavi, would you like to add?
I can think of two sectors. This is based on my experience. The first one is a sector where we need a lot of solutions coming up with empathy, and women by nature have a lot of empathy. That is agriculture. So I have seen women who have rolled up their sleeves, traveled 100, 200 kilometers every 2 days, and built industrial solutions for small farms. So I think that's one sector where we can still come up with many solutions. So agriculture is one sector. Second is, as an investor, if I see deep technologies where, let's say, biology or bioinformatics, synthetic biology. In those sectors, I would love to see a lot of women coming in. I know many women undertake PhD and do research in some of these sectors. Would love to see solutions and products being built by women in these sectors.
Lovely. Shubhangi, can you add?
Yeah, I would, actually very interesting points put out by Anisha, and Bhargavi V. I would just like to add out by saying that we usually tend to think that if it's a women, it will be a D2C startup. It will be into cosmetics, into bakery, into something like that, right? I would like to, quote some examples over here. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of Off Business as a startup or Hasura as a startup, right? These are brilliant startups into financial services and SaaS, which have grown tremendously and are currently unicorns, right? I feel there's a lot of space for us to grow in a couple of more sectors that we can come in as well, right? I think one of them is definitely space tech. And I feel that why can't we go in there? And I'm sure that if we get the right support in place, that will be in the next blooming sector that we could actually add a lot more value to. That's just a little bit of nudge that's required. Other than that, I feel like in financial services and specific even in healthcare, right? I think within healthcare, femtech is something that's very close to our hearts, right? And not a lot of is spoken about it that, you can actually go in there and build something, right? Because the product is actually valid on you, right? You would actually want to work upon it. You can actually understand it the best way. So a lot of it on femtech can be looked at as another growth thing. And yeah, financial services, I think that could be the next blooming one.
Lovely, lovely. Yes, Janki ji.
Yeah, to add to that, education, even education, and thanks to COVID, and now that a lot of, technology and work from home, that has created a larger opportunity to women who can work from home. But before I go beyond that, I do see that it's coffee time and the audience is kind of wanting their cup of chai or coffee. So I want to roll a question here. Is it hard? What is harder? What's hard, to be a man or a woman at workplace? Is it a
Come on, guys.
Is it a piece of cake for men? It's too simple to work?
Go on, give an answer.
What is hard?
Rakesh
Yes?
bhai saying something.
It's hard, right? It's hard for a man too. It's hard for a woman too. It's just you have to pick your heart. Today we met lovely entrepreneurs in the morning. And so what do you think? Is it hard to run a 1,200 crore business or a startup? Pick your heart. It's about picking your heart. Marriage. Is it hard to be single or married? Pick your heart. Is it hard to stay with families, communities, or stay alone? Pick your heart. Is it hard to be obese or fit? Pick your heart. It's about picking your heart. So coming back to the question here, liberation and freedom is all we are talking about as women. And we women have many reasons why we don't work, n number of reasons. I have learned through my experiences, through various stories around me with whom I've worked, that it's all in the state of mind. It's your own self that you need to liberate from. And it's not about the environment which is restricting you, but it's yourself is what is keeping the restrictions around you. Of course, we are judged, we are undervalued, etc., etc. But, the most brilliant moments on this world are not those when the wars were won. It's about those beautiful times when, as a mother, you are singing a lullaby. The passion, the love, the way in which you connect with a child has created a wonderful human being who is going to contribute to the world. So we women have that strength. We have that power of empathy, aesthetics. So let's celebrate that. And there's so much we can do. Why just healthcare? Be passionate about whatever you like. It could be cooking, it could be healthcare, it could be fashion, it could be science, it could be writing. Just listen to yourself and do it with 100% passion. And you can definitely do it. Like people from rural areas where we work with, I see women who are doing so much work and brilliant work. And they come up with solutions which people like educated people can't even think of. Thank
They're
you.
street smart, I think. You call them street smart. And there is never any excuse for working. There's always an excuse for not working. Right. So coming to this part where, like you said, women take a long, when they are having children or they've got married and they've been away from the workforce for a long period of time, suddenly they find when they want to get back to the workforce, there has been a big gap in between, because suddenly everything has moved very fast, everything has gone forward, and here we had never heard of startups, maybe, say when we were young, and now there is this budding startups and mushrooming of different businesses and all that, and they don't know how to get back into the workforce. So any skill they may be having, but what steps, just a couple of steps which they can take to in fact just push themselves back into this. So can we start with you, ma'am?
For that matter, I'm very proud. I'm not at all shying from my age. I'm 58. And I just started a startup a year back. My partner is my son.
Nice.
So me and my son, we started this startup because I think COVID did, of course, with due respect to and all sympathies to all the wrong that happened. But COVID did some brilliant things too. And even in the underprivileged sector, I think digital literacy, hand hygiene, sanitation, all that happened. And to families, they learned a great lesson. They learned how to spend time with each other. During COVID, I was spending a lot more time with families. My son, we were discussing that you've contributed all your life for 2 decades in the space of education. And what's happening to the education system to the so-called very privileged? The kids who are going to schools, best of the schools, and yet they are struggling. There's a big gap. So in the NGOs, what we are doing is filling up the gap. So what I was doing was, the compromised education system was the situation with government schools. And we were filling the gap there. That was the problem statement. And the solution was literacy and employment opportunities. But here with the so-called very privileged schools, we are using one of the leaders or speakers had mentioned today about the education system. I think Savji Bhai was mentioning. So it's very limiting. Our education system is very limiting. We are following the education system with British left to us. And so now futuristic, we have to think of skills. We have to shift from mere information to knowledge. We have to shift from teaching to learning. So we started a beyond school program, Playtos Miniversity, for age group 10 to 14. And this is the startup. Now, I had a lot of taboo in my head. I said, I don't want to be there in a space where, there's money. Sometimes we don't understand money with the right perspective, especially women who don't work. We see women as money as a bad word. And, I've learned so much in this last 2 years while developing this new business. And it's a brilliant experience. I think it's never late to start what you love to do.
Absolutely. So Bhargavi, would you like to add something to this? Just a couple of points. I think they've given us a very short period. I don't want to say anything more, but we are going to take 5 more minutes from you all to finish this.
No, I think Madam put it very nicely. So I was going to say something similar, right? I think today what is limiting is only our own initiative.
In your own head.
Because everything is available online, right? You can do any skill, any course online. and in our own mind only. So I think if you want to learn baking, you can do. If you want to learn design, you can do. And within design, there are 10 subsectors under design. So I think everything is possible online. And I think it's only our own initiative and in the mind.
Yeah. You would like to add, Anisha?
I just have one message, to all the women. At least there are some few women here. Your freedom is not his to give to you. Your freedom is yours to take. So take your freedom, apply your skill sets, and be financially free. And you're being financially free. It's not to prove any point to anybody. It is directly linked to your self-respect. Bottom line, see, I had a friend of mine who, very close friend of mine who once said, Anisha, my wife has a choice. She does not have to, because, his wife, she's a businesswoman and she's an entrepreneur. And she's doing her own business. And, she goes through a lot of stress. And obviously, she's talking about her stress to him. So he was telling me this. She has a choice. She doesn't have to work. She doesn't have to do the business. She can be at home. And I looked at him and I said, the reason she's choosing to work has nothing to do with you or anything else. It's her self-respect. She wants to be financially free. She does not want to be dependent on you. She does not want to ask you for money because it erodes her self-respect every time she does that. So she chooses to be an entrepreneur, chooses to work because she wants to be financially free. And that is the purpose. It's not for anything else. So women out there, again, let me say, your freedom is not his to give to you. Your freedom is yours to take. So take your freedom, apply your skill sets, do what you enjoy, and be financially free. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to end this with Shubhangi and...
Yeah, I would just like to add to that, I cannot emphasize enough the value that financial independence will bring to you. I think one thing that COVID changed for all of us in the room, right? That it brings in hybrid workplaces, brings in a lot of value for you as whether you're a woman or a man, right? It gives you space to manage family, but at the same time give enough emphasis and prioritize on your work. And I feel that sense of ease that it has brought in for a lot of women managing families, managing work, and doing it also seamlessly at the same time, right? Talking about when women are coming back to work or they're on the work already or when you're helping them out in your day-to-day lives, right? I think if we can take away one thing from here is if you can mentor at least one woman in your roles at whatever levels that you're doing it, right? Whether you're mentoring somebody at from school, somebody at workplace, somebody who's an intern, or somebody who's your co-founder. I think mentoring and guiding them through the path will really make a big difference, and I think that's what we're all trying to make here. So yeah.
Great. Amazing. Thank you so very much, ladies. Today we would like to end by recognizing the 3 women from our TiE Women who were the winners of the last 3 years since we've been in existence. So I would request our 3 ladies, 2 of them have already pitched at the global level and 1 will be pitching next month. So I would request Hetal Soni, who was our first winner with Captain Egg. Nishma was our second winner who pitched last year with Zoevan Pets. And Parini Kapadia, who will be going next month with Zero Cow to Hyderabad to pitch. So I would really love to recognize these ladies. A big hand to all of us. Whether anybody claps, we can give ourselves the biggest clap and the biggest pat. And that's it.